Hey everyone, welcome again to
Hello.
Outsourcing and More. My name is Penny.
We are friends. We.
Yeah, yeah. Is that your pronoun
It's
now?
my pronoun.
But anyway, today's topic is the lifeblood of any company.
Any company.
Company. So any company would have to have sales,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, in order to survive, you have to have
Yes.
income. That's really the only way for a company to survive. Like, unless you're a non-profit organization. But
Yeah,
even
that's true.
then, you need one form. What did I do? You need some form of income in order to keep your business going. So one thing that we've always wanted to talk about is how sales can be best achieved for your company.
Yes.
It's the one thing. So
I mean,
it's always that one thing, right? If there's one thing that you should be thinking about, that's sales.
sales.
You can't think
Yes.
about product and product growth without
Having
having
to
any
think
form
about
of,
sales. Yeah.
yeah. And even investment is a form of sales. Selling your product to somebody who believes in your product enough to keep your company growing is
It's
in
still
itself a form of sales. But
yes.
we're not here to talk about investing or getting your first million from an angel investor to grow your company. We're talking about the actual sales
Process.
process,
Yes.
the one that your product is intended to, no, what your product was meant to do, which is to sell itself to
Your
people who
customers,
are
yeah.
interested in
Yes.
buying said product or
Yes.
service.
Yes. I mean, even solopreneurs, solopreneurs, at some point, right?
Yes.
Especially solopreneurs, this is not solely for solopreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
What a mouthful. Anyway, you would need to have a sales process in place, and at some point, you would need to have someone help you
Mm-hmm.
do your sales process.
True.
Yeah.
I keep getting reminded of that. That's heartwarming memes and sales,
Hmm.
memes and videos
Yep.
about these two girls who made their first sale. Like they put up their own business, and then they just had their first sale, and they were caught on their own like CCTV. So after
Mm.
they made their first purchase, the customer was like, I took my bag and then I went out, and then they hid behind the counter and they did like their happy
Yeah,
dance.
yeah, I saw this. Yeah, yes.
Right, that's
Yes.
so cute. And that's the thing. It's the feeling that your business is starting to connect with customers and bring you income. At the end of the day, even if you highly believe in the product, if there are no customers, there's no business. If
Yes.
there's no profit, there's no business. So,
And there are two types of sales, right? We have inbound,
and
where
outbound
customers are coming
coming
to
in.
you maybe based on word of mouth or your marketing efforts, and there are
Mm-hmm.
outbound sales,
Right.
where you're actually the one reaching out.
Yeah, and then let's take it out to like the different sorts of sales, just to make sure that everybody understands that there are different avenues,
Mm.
for you to sell. I mean, obviously, you have let's start with the basic. You have your brick and mortar sort of business. It's when you it's when you have a physical presence,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put your wares out, and then you say hi, bye. Like hawking is a form of sales.
Yes.
uh you know Actually, just putting your product out and then putting a sign there that says for sale is a
Form
form
of
of
sale. Yep.
sales. It's product exposure, and you're exposing it to the market. um I mean, obviously things have gone.
From the brick and mortar store to an online presence, which is your website.
Yes.
Yeah.
um I think where we come in is sales has, like you said, come such a long way that the techniques, the tactics, and
Yes.
these apply whether or not your product eventually ends up on a store shelf
Yes.
or on a website. The question still is, how does it reach customers, right? And from a process perspective, that can be a problem with a lot of companies,
Mm-hmm.
because number one, it costs money
Yes.
to get people to sell your product.
Yes.
It costs money to display your your product on shelves, it costs money to put them on a website.
Yep.
Unless it's Facebook.
Yes. Yes, but then you still have to do digital ads, but that's marketing. But still, it's all part of sales.
It still boils down to
Yeah.
sales, right? And that's kind of like the scary thing about it, like making your first hire, hiring your first salesperson, or hiring the right e-commerce platform, buying your e-commerce platform, or God forbid, putting up your own brick and mortar store in order to display your wares. Do you want to focus on like a specific product, or just
Like even in general, it's fine.
I mean, let's talk about the thing that works for us best, right? Regardless of whether the product, see, somewhere down the line, again, it will end up either on a shelf or on
On a
on,
website,
on
yeah.
a website, right?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, but going back up the ladder, back to the company who has to now think about how do we sell this product, can be a very daunting experience, especially again if you're, say, for example, in a very expensive city
Yes.
where everything's expensive. We've seen that. Um, how do industries like ours help companies like these in terms of their sales effort, sales efforts?
No, I think it all boils down on what the company's sales process is, and there's a lot of techniques or sorry strategies that you can use for sales. First off, if you're not getting, even if you're getting inbound leads, right, you still wanna get more leads that you can, call up, right? Call up and see if they're interested with your product, and that's lead generation.
This topic is pretty close to you.
Yes, because I've done it.
You're
couple
more of a
Yeah.
I would not have flourished if I needed to stay in a sales environment. Wait, so this topic is pretty close to your heart.
Yeah,
right?
because that's actually how I started.
Yeah.
I was in an ad agency as an account manager, which is actually sales. And then afterwards, I was in a promotional products company as account manager, but really doing sales, but more
Yeah.
I also
The
did cold
title
calling.
was account
Yeah,
manager.
but it's still sales. And then after that, doing starting my freelancing career, it's also sales, appointment
still did
setting,
sales,
actually
yeah.
cold calling, and then cold calling salespeople, which is the hardest thing that you would ever do, is to cold call salespeople.
Okay,
Because
well,
they already know everything. They
I
already know
I
everything, every technique.
I
But
on the other hand,
yeah,
I actually did start out with outbound sales. I absolutely hated the job. I thought I didn't have enough shit in me, but then,
you grew into it.
I grew into it. But I mean, outbound sales is fairly different from inbound sales,
Yes.
and now it's, I call myself business development, but it's still actually a lot of, it's still sales.
It's
At the
still
end of the day,
sales.
it's still sales. I'm still a at my age.
And you're very good at it. I would say.
Oh, thank you.
No, just going back. Just there's and as I've said, right? I was an account manager for an ad agency. Our target was pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer, Unilab. Those were my clients. And then going into the freelancing, I was cold calling car salespeople. Which is one of the hardest, I would say, in my entire career. I was also cold calling companies because our product then was promotional products where, like a pen with your name on it. That's what promotional products are.
Mm-hmm.
And we started cold calling. That was the training, cold calling. And you're calling people, even households, not companies, and asking them if they're interested, for their birthday, their son's baptism or whatnot, if they're interested in, swag or whatever. That's how I actually started, and then I went into appointment setting, cold calling, appointment setting. I think for an insurance person, we're trying to get him leads. And so there's a lot of strategies in a lot of different areas in sales. It's not just you say sales, that's it. No. So you have appointment setting, you have lead generation, you have the actual sales calls and whatnot. And I think that's where we come in because, and you're laughing because.
I love it because here's a topic that I can't get a word in edgewise. Now you know how I feel when I'm super passionate about a topic. No, don't
Now
get
you
me
know how I
wrong.
feel when I can't get an word edgewise. Come
I know
on.
that's exactly what I'm saying. I feel like I just want to hear everything. I just want to hear everything because it's coming off, it's rolling off of you in
Yeah. It
waves.
was my first career.
It's still your career.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're selling our company day in and day out.
Yes,
So
that's true.
and
That's
you
true.
and I can see how passionate you are, like when you talk about it to friends, to colleagues, to clients, like like buy our company services.
But anyway, was that what I was saying is that there's a lot of different avenues for you to sell your product, right?
Yeah.
But it all starts with getting the leads in the door, right? And trying to find these leads, because if you don't know where to find them and you don't know where to get them, that's gonna be really hard for you to kind of pinpoint and get actually sales, right? So lead generation, it could be just research, right? There's a lot of research in your area. For example, if you're a lawyer, I guess, you still have to research in your area who might need a lawyer or a realtor. A realtor is a little bit closer to our skill set because most of well. One of our clients is a brokerage, sorry. And so if you're a realtor, you have to find leads. And sometimes what they do actually is stage a fake open house and get the leads from there.
you know Read from my webtoon.
No, that's what they do, right? Or like what other realtors would do, but I think it's bad now. But what Dale does,
Yeah.
is to call up people and see if they're interested in selling their house and maybe get some leads from there.
Yeah, I am going to rein you in. It's a lot of sales conversations and talks, but you know, I mean, obviously we've talked about how outsourcing can
Yes.
help companies like this. I think I'm going to try to funnel in all of those. I'm gonna be the funnel this time.
No, no. What I was
No, I
no,
don't
no,
get
no,
me
no,
wrong. I
no.
love exactly what's
No.
coming out of your mouth, but I want to hear it here. So here's my first question. If you're a company and right now you've invested a lot in coming up with the product, and then you're ready for the world to fall in love with the product. There's always that chicken and egg situation. You need the money now to sell the product, but you also need no wait. You need the money to sell. You need money to sell the product, but you also need money in order to get the sales process in place in order for the product to sell. So you
Yeah.
can so it's either what's the question? You either like sell the product piecemeal, which isn't sustainable obviously. You
Yeah.
can't be the one person to go out and say buy my
And also do
amazing
the product,
and then also
yeah, manufacture the product yourself, and then also do the after sales customer care and do the customer service, and then everything else.
exactly.
Y-
So there yeah, where would you personally start as a sales process, and where the uh and again, going back to the point where usually if you get to hire your first employee, most likely people would consider getting a sales team in place, because again, that's the person who would bring in the money.
As a co- if as a company, well, we do have our own company. I would start pinpointing where the gap is in my process, or what I'm currently doing that I can actually give to someone else that they can do repeatedly.
Right. And remember, we actually discussed this a little bit off air. Um, what you need, what you're basically looking for, is somebody to manage your sales. The idea is, when you hire somebody, let's say for example, where our clients would normally come from, say Chicago, Washington, startups in those areas also tend to be very expensive in terms of hiring people who are also in that area. So when you say let's look for somebody who will manage our sales, you'll probably end up with somebody that you're paying top dollar rates for, because they need to be part of your company in-house.
And
But
you're
how
also paying benefits,
and you're
you're
also
also
paying
training them,
benefits
and
and
yeah.
training them. But what are the processes involved in sales, right? That I would say these are all of the things that you need to do, but you'll eventually see, oh my gosh, so how often is he doing sales now? The actual sale.
The actual
How much
sales
of the
cost.
sales process involves the actual selling, and what are the ones that are that you would probably say, I don't want this person doing this part of the sales. It's
I think
sales.
what you're getting at is actually leveraging that staff, that salesperson that you hired based on what you need him to do if it's just to make sales. But there's a lot that goes on in sales, which is what one thing that I was telling you about
Yes.
earlier, which is lead generation, right?
Yes.
Getting the leads in. That's where I was getting at
It's
earlier.
exactly where you were getting at. I just wanted to make sure that it was there.
Yeah.
So
No,
again,
no,
going back,
yeah, no, lead generation, right? Like finding these leads because you want your salesperson to concentrate on closing the sale.
and what's involved in lead generation?
Well, researching
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost. Now, before you can, actually buy lead lists, right? But
Oh
now
my
you can
God, I
actually get
remember.
leads by or even using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Well,
Or
what a
third or
plugin.
third company or third companies who actually do sales leads, or partner with companies who have leads and are legally allowed to sell them.
Yes.
But there was a time here. There was a time that's 20 years ago. Oh, that hurts. Wait, 2005? It's not 20 years ago. 18?
Yeah.
Ouch. Before, so when we were working in said outbound call center, people would be lurking around our building and would go, boss, can I get, oh, sorry, boss, 10,000 for 200 leads. They literally pop out of somewhere and say, boss, 10,000 for 200 leads. And I was like, what? And it turns out that there are people who would like, you know how outbound people would already have like auto dialers back then. So just like phone number, name, phone number, name, phone number, name, and you kind of take a list of those numbers because they're the ones who answered. You give them that list, then you get 10,000 for 200 leads. It's like, but that's black hat, right?
I don't know if it's still happening now.
No, but it's black hat.
Eh.
No,
I mean,
what?
there.
You were doing
Okay.
that?
No. We were provided leads, so.
Of course, yeah. But where do those leads actually come from?
But if you think about it, there are apps or actually companies right now that's their sole purpose is to provide companies with leads, right? So they are buying lead lists, but probably not like that where it's like a dark corner and
Yeah, that's my point. That's I just remembered it, and it's probably obviously illegal because you're as a in the company you weren't supposed to leak out whatever information that you have within that
yeah.
company. So I was so surprised that people were doing that. But anyway, going back, there's probably in terms of research, your what do you call them? Scrapping, scrounging. What's the word?
Lead scraping.
Lead scraping, yeah. So you either go to LinkedIn or
Yes.
just go to websites and look at the About Us section.
Yes, I've actually done this before. Yeah.
I mean, prior to the era of LinkedIn, because you just have to like Google CEO and then everybody
Yes.
comes up. But before
You have to actually go to the website and
go
then
to the website, go to
I
the
was
About
actually
Us.
tasked to find their phone numbers. If I couldn't find their phone number on the website, I would just get
Look
the
for the
company
email.
phone number and then call and try to figure out what the phone number is for.
Hi, I was talking to CEO just 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
would
don't know,
never
I don't know.
say, "Can I talk to Sir?" You would just say, "Can I talk to Ted?"
Yeah.
Like
I'm
them.
sorry. Can you put me back online with that or
Yeah.
something like that? And but that's a sales technique. But just remembering how exactly how do you get past the gatekeepers?
Yes,
that's
that.
the
Yeah.
term. But yes, that is one of those things. I mean that's people can get highly creative, but like I said, it's one of those like it's very labor intensive. How do you
Yes,
get
very.
past? You know.
Because sales is a numbers game. You can't
Yeah.
just call one phone number and you
Be
know,
done for the day.
yeah, you're done for it. It's a numbers game. So for example, for calling, like lead, if we're talking just about lead generation and finding out who the right person is and their phone number or email, right? You have to call a lot, right? You have to call a lot just to even get a few phone numbers or even call them again, right? Just to get your foot in the door. So it's very labor intensive. I remember I was we were goal to call 80 to do 80 calls a day for cold calling, sometimes even more, just to get some sort of sale for that day. And with
Yeah.
sales, you have quotas, and so sales is a numbers game.
It's absolutely a numbers game. You know, you're either gonna get. I mean, partly there's still the part that how can you get creative and get somebody interested to buy product, like how can you turn somebody's interest around,
Yeah.
right? But it's at the end of the day, you're still numbers, 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 numbers.
Yes.
It all really boils down to numbers. Totally agree with that. And I guess that's where we say, going back to the
Very
scenario that I
repetitive.
said, going through tasks that are very repetitive, going through those tasks, not I would say not a good way to spend on somebody that you're paying,
Yeah.
you know, what,
Top
20
dollar.
$25
Yeah,
an
top
hour
dollar
for.
to close this. Yes, it's part of their process. Ideally, well, not ideally,
Ideally,
but
they're the ones doing
it's
it.
yeah, it's supposed to be part, but you're not getting the best bang for your buck if that's what they
Yeah.
do day in and day out.
Yeah.
Um,
You
eh,
would rather that
you-
this person is in front of people who are ready to close those
yes,
deals, no matter how you got to that process.
yes,
So stuff like, like research development, the lead generation, they're the kind of labor intensive jobs that now becomes an attractive option if it were more cost efficient.
yes,
Labor intensive yet cost efficient, and that's where it's like a lot of outsourcing companies can now specialize in.
yes.
Not to mention that even though some people are really good in sales, they might not be good in terms of that redundant collection of data and sales. So
And I think, with outsourcing, there are companies that specialize with sales, and now and those people already know the ins and outs and all the strategies. Like, I mean, just as basic as getting past the gatekeeper, right? They know all of the strategies to get past the gatekeeper, and that's their forte. And so, if you are partnering with an outsourcing company that is, you're watching my hand.
yes.
Are you hypnotized?
Yeah.
But if you're partnering with a company that does this, that this is their forte, then that's one thing off your list of thinking about what's the best strategy to use to get these leads in. The other thing which we were talking about is best bang for your buck for your staff, for your onshore staff. Is that the right term?
If I say the best buck for your bang, does it mean differently?
It does.
It does.
It does.
Okay, bang for your buck.
Yeah. But there are a lot of things that are very labor intensive, that might not be, like, for example, you won't hire a developer to go ahead and assemble a chair, even though it's his chair, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So that's the same way with partnering with a different company. That's what they actually do, which is sales. They know everything about sales and how to get these leads to you. And so now, if you do have someone on your staff doing sales, they can now concentrate on those high quality leads, right? And probably increase the chances of closing the sale.
Yes. And therefore, like you said, better use of your sales manager's time,
Yes.
because they're now in front of leads that have the highest chances of closing. And I would say, if you can turn that again from both expensive and labor intensive to cost efficient but still labor intensive, then you have something. Although at the same time, when you're talking about outsourcing, of course, understandably, the reason why they're winning businesses from other countries is because they're able to offer cost efficiency, cost of living
Yes.
in outsourced countries are less. Therefore, they're able to afford to hire agents at a less, same quality skills wise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't want to be as labor intensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth of things. When you're somebody who just develop a product and say, I have a product that I can now sell, you
Mm-hmm.
might not be as experienced in terms of the how to sift through
Yeah.
all that ocean of of noise where your sales actually are. These people have these agencies. If you specialize in sales, like you said,
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing, how to get the right customers in front of them, and possibly even understand the right tactics in order to say what sort of market are we looking to target, what sort of customers would be interested, and if they would look at the product and say, ah, you know and sometimes and I've seen where companies are like, this is the product, we would think that this is good for everybody. It's like, no, 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 these are for young urban professionals. You don't try to target,
Yes.
although this involves a little bit of marketing. You don't try to target like suburban moms. So we know exactly who we're looking for, or maybe even in terms of geolocation, like which cities would be which states and or cities would be interested in a certain product. Of course, you want to say, let's sell throughout the US, but if you know that your sales would be better concentrated elsewhere, like you won't try to sell a John Deere a John Deere in
Yeah.
LA.
Yes.
Nobody would buy it. And in the same way, you're probably not going to try to sell a Segway in rural Arkansas, if that makes sense. I don't think there's a Segway who can actually that can survive the kind of long roads there. Anyway, point being, they would know better, and you're probably in better hands, or to partner with, of course, the sales manager would understand all of that, but at the same time, you can partner with an agency who
Yes.
kind of also understands that those kinds of same
And
dynamic.
qualify which ones are actually yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think a part of sales that we haven't talked about, and this is like lead generation, like
Mm-hmm.
getting the right people in the door. There's also a part in the sales process where it needs to be done. Like for example, scheduling discovery calls,
Oh,
right? It's
leading to onboarding and stuff.
yes, leading to onboarding and stuff, and it's not exactly getting people to book with you, which is the lead generation part we were talking about. This is more of the other admin tasks that are involved in sales that need to happen,
Mhm.
but it takes a lot of time,
It takes a lot of time because
but does not
sometimes
leverage the
if
skill
you
set
need to
for the sales manager.
yeah, if you need to shuffle a lot of steps between booking demos, and then, sorry, are we talking post
Yes,
purchase or still go leading to the sales?
leading to the
Leading to
sale.
the sales. So we're talking booking demos,
Yeah.
and then trying to get the team on board, or maybe to see it from demo to actual trial usage, and then going back and getting feedback, because
Yes.
sometimes, especially if you're purchasing a really expensive product, something that would cost you, say, tens of thousands of dollars a year to use, that company will really take time to make sure that they're buying into the right product, especially
Yes.
since a lot of these products cannot afford to offer trial runs.
Yes.
You either buy the product and then, I don't know, probably have a 30-day money back guarantee. And that's actually another uh like form of the sales tax. That's, although it probably already falls into the sales, like the onshore sales, but there's still a lot of care leading to the sale, and then just a little bit
Yes.
after the sales as well. But at the end of the day, everything just points out, top dollar reps, sales managers, for example, cannot, it's simply not a good way to use their time to do all of, like, playing catch up with
Yeah.
customers
Or
who have
even just
fallen off the wagon.
updating your CRM, your contact database about the the last few things you spoke about
Yeah.
with a customer, or making sure that they all have the paperwork that needs to be done
Oh
to
my
be
God,
able
yes.
to like
In
use your
order to
product.
sign, yeah.
Yeah. So
Because there's still a lot, like in terms of like sales, getting the technical contact, getting
mhm.
the right signatories in
Yes.
order to just get that at the end
Or
of the day,
even
it's
just
like get
preparing
the
the
damn contract signed.
proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, those they're not little things. They're important
They're,
things, but
yes.
they are labor intensive.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, especially if you're trying to play catch up, like when you're both startups and you're
yes.
both busy, it can be a bitch trying to catch up with every possible signatory that needs to sign. And then, sometimes you think that they're all done. Oh my God, we love the product. We're gonna buy it. But tell you what, catch up with me because I'm going to be flying out, blah blah. And then you try to catch up with them. Oh, the person who's signing won't be back until next week. You have to keep it on your calendar. And then when
Yes.
you're sales and you have to talk to like dozens of people every day, you're gonna fall behind on trying to some of them are going to fall through the cracks.
Yes.
Although it's very helpful if you have a very reliable a very reliable online solution like no, not. But online solutions have really come a long way. But at the end of the day, a lot of those are still labor intensive.
Yes.
The solution for those are automations. But until some companies will take a while before they reach
Yeah,
that kind of
automation.
solution. Until then,
Because
I
automation
would
still
say,
costs.
and automation costs it's still a bitch to pull out of your pocket. Until then, outsourcing really has been a boon
Yes.
for a lot of those companies. They've brought companies from zero to success, and you've seen that, like a well placed sales campaign, a well placed lead generation campaign can literally make or break you if you do it right.
I think the one thing that we have mentioned in our previous episodes is, especially if you're trying to test a campaign out, right?
Yes.
Partnering with an outsourcing company gives you that flexibility where you can test a campaign out, 2 months, 3 months. 1 month might be too short, but depending on what campaign it is, partnering with an with an agency will actually give you flexibility of okay, I just need this campaign to run X number of months, as opposed to having an onshore staff where for right now that's the only thing that you think you need
Yeah.
for the campaign
And
and
sometimes
run
the
it.
problem is you hire somebody who is good at sales. Like there's still different kinds of sales tactics
Yes.
and different sales campaigns to run. And sometimes when you hire that person, talking about right fit might not be the best person for the job. And that can be like you can't just say I'm letting you go
Yes.
without sufficient reason. Maybe failing to reach your required sales goals, but that now requires another round of hiring and
Yeah.
firing and
Yeah.
then training the person with the product. But the great thing about that is like when you have a reliable agency, they can come in and say, I think we already have a campaign that
Similar to
might
the
that's similar to what you want to run, so we already know how to run it. I mean, of course they'll have to tweak it according to the product, but different agencies, different campaigns, it doesn't, and you can try them out 2 months, see what the results are. If not, you can completely shift gears,
yes.
totally change your tactics. Sometimes it doesn't even hurt to hire two companies at once to run
The same,
totally
yeah.
different campaigns,
Yeah.
A and B,
B.
like run it East Coast or West Coast or
Yeah, that was what I was thinking about. Like, for example, if your sales process now and you think it's working for you, you're getting leads, but then you want to experiment something else, right? You can partner with an agency, and that gives you flexibility of running that campaign if that campaign will kind of work for your company. And so, yeah, I think that's where we're going regarding flexibility with working with an agency
yeah.
with your sales process.
And that
Yeah.
also answers scalability. If you suddenly find yourself with a campaign that's working, you suddenly need
People to keep running that
to keep
campaign.
running
Yeah.
that campaign, and sometimes it's not, sometimes when it's already there right in the middle, how can you cannot afford the time and energy and resource to get again somebody who can be onboarded in as little as what, weeks and days, but teams like that already have people in the background that they can
Yes.
easily like pull into their team, and you have more people just like that.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I've never been more surprised when I started working for US companies and they were like, we need to hire somebody. And I was like, okay, so uh when is that gonna happen? It's gonna happen in 5 months. It's like 5 months. Like, that's how long it takes to hire the right person.
Yes.
And I see it now. But I mean, back then I was like 5 months. Pilipinas, one day hiring.
I know.
One day hiring. Or sometimes when you're like, um, we finally hired the right person. Awesome, great, congratulations. When are they coming in? They'll be available next quarter. It's not that scalable. I mean, we're obviously not talking about sales at that point, but that's really how cumbersome it can be to hire
Yeah.
the right person in outside of in the US, for example.
Yes.
So definitely, I would say, if if you can't afford to wait 5 months, and the the option of flexibility, scalability,
And the
um,
relevancy of the campaign is now.
is now really outsourcing is the right way to go. I think we've discussed that a number of times in some of our articles
Yes, we have.
with Virtua. I was actually looking at something similar. I think that's where some of the ideas came to mind. But if we go to virtualsolutionsos.com /articles, you'll be able to see some of those. I think it would be a great read.
Yeah. We'll
Um,
link some of the articles
we'll link some of the
that's
articles. Yes,
relevant to
the guide
this
to collaborative
discussion. Yeah.
outsourcing was great. The sales process was great. We have some of our writings. Of course, Roger, who's a great
Yes, we
researcher. He's
love
all
Roger.
yes. Also a great resource in terms of like being able to share our ideas, and he turns it into instead of scrambled eggs, he turns it back into sunny side up, and then into a full egg.
What about a poached egg?
What- yeah,
Anyway.
but Roger, you're great. You're a
Yes.
valuable resource to the company. So I just wanted to say, if you're listening, I
We
appreciate
applaud
you.
you.
Yeah, and the whole marketing team, of course. I would say, I think I've squeezed everything I
Yes.
wanted to
So just to
out of the topic.
yes, just to summarize, there's your sales process. We understand that if you want to hire onshore, then there's a lot of things that go into it, hiring, right? You can't just hire and then fire them, right? Well, if you want to,
They
but
can.
anyway, but in the sales process, there are a lot of labor intensive tasks that need to happen and can be repetitive that may not leverage your staff the right way. And so partnering with an outsourcing agency will give you that flexibility and the ability to scale if your campaign does work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, even outsourcing agencies might be. You know how all of these like trends are coming up, like chatbots, AI.
Yes.
It's all there, and you think like, okay, then we can use that. But technically, partner with an outsourcing agency who's specialized in using those technologies. Again, ease of use. You can't do everything yourself as
Yes.
a startup. You can wear different hats, but partnering with the agency who knows how to use those technologies effectively can give you, again, value add to the
Yes.
money that you're spending. You could say, I could just spend it myself and run it myself. No. If you think you can run everything yourself, think again. I think that's the right word. Or you might be learning a very expensive lesson
Yes.
when you try to do it yourself, and then you end up. And I will say maybe 3 out of 5. Two of you will succeed. 3 of you will like, let's go back to the drawing board and
Yes.
go back to that outsourcing agency that we were talking to. I think that might actually be a better solution. But you'd probably be a few $1,000s out, but valuable lesson learned.
Yes.
I would say. Anyway, um, if you are listening and you are a startup, we're not saying that we are the best solution. We outsourcing is a solution
Yes, a
that
solution.
you can try. Um, whether that's the right fit for you is something for you to decide. Ultimately, your business success will depend on the numbers. If you are hesitant, you can always book a consultation, find a mentor who maybe has run successful campaigns with partner outsourcing agencies before, or maybe just discuss, do your research, look for an outsourcing agency who looks like they could do the job that you're looking for. You can't just look at any. It has to be one that has the right
Yes.
experience. Their resume will say that. Ours focuses more on inbound customer service, customer sales, retention, um, a little bit of lead generation. But am I going to say that we're the best at it?
Again, we strive to be.
We strive to be, but if you look at us, I wouldn't hesitate to pass around a recommendation to an agency who focuses solely
Yep.
100% on sales. But that's the thing, that's the goal. As much as we strive for authenticity and say this is where we're best at, you probably would want to find a company that says we can do this, and not, it doesn't sound like like it doesn't, and you can hear whether it's authentic, and at the same time they can back it up with results
Yes.
and facts, and
Case studies. Yeah,
case
yeah,
studies, satisfied clients, and maybe even, I don't know, connect you with a client who can give you that recommendation.
yes.
Always can. So yeah, that's it. I mean, it's scary if you're a startup and you're starting up with a business, and you're launching it. You're full of uh, uh, probably anxiety. You're probably
Always.
full of hope that
Yeah, hope,
this is the business.
optimism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the business that will take off and be the success that you're looking to do. But we also wish you success. If you're listening to this podcast, we do absolutely
I
wish you
mean, that's the
success.
reason why we're doing this. We're trying to share what we know,
Yes.
right? And hopefully they can do something with it, whatever our
Absolutely.
experiences or and knowledge about these things.
Yeah, I mean, right now, is this a hard sell? Yes. If you think, uh, you're struggling in one part of your business, and you think a business like us can help, absolutely reach out, talk to us. It's not like, come over. We're the solution. We're a solution. I guess
Yes.
that's what we're saying. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna try to wrap this up.
Yeah.
We have no, I don't. No,
No.
that's not the right. That's not the right word. I'm gonna say thank you, because if you're still here at the end of this conversation, you found value in what we had to say. We do talk about several topics, and a few more. We hope that you'll be here the next time for our next topic. For now, this has been topics on sales and how the outsourcing industry can definitely help you with your topic. If you need more, please feel free to follow us, subscribe. We have new topics every is that every week?
Yes.
We do
Yes.
have new topics every week.
Every week.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels. Again, this has been Francis,
And my name is Penny,
and
and
this
this
has
has
been
been
Outsourcing
Outsourcing
and
and
More.
More.
See you on the next episode.